Welcome to People Behind the Trade podcast with the host, myself, who is Mr. London Plumber, who has been a plumber for over 20 years, and I enjoy telling my stories, but I can't tell the story of an electrician who is a female or a bricklayer because I'm not that trade, I'm a plumber. So I've created this show to be able to bring interesting guests on to be able to share their experiences with ups and downs being in this industry, the reason why they got into it and what keeps them motivated. These are all interesting questions which we're going to have with our special guests who will actually start appearing on our show. But for now, I'm going to talk you through the apprenticeship which I went through. I feel that's really important because it's the parts which mold you for your career later down. So how do most people get into an apprenticeship in the UK? I will talk about how I got into an apprenticeship because there's loads of different ways how people get in with new companies who actually just support young learners and people who are trying to get into the trade taking place as well. There wasn't so many of them when I started plumbing. So I done something which was called a modern day apprenticeship, where I went to college for a day and then the other days I was at work. So I enjoyed that because it was a good mixture. I was allowed to see the work life and I was understood that I had to know the theory side of it when it comes to understanding what you're doing while you do what you're doing in your day job. Do you get what I mean? So it gives you scope when it comes to, oh, we practice this and this is the reason why we do this. So at least you know why you're doing something. And obviously safety is paramount at the beginning of everything. So every course you'll be taught safety first when it comes to construction, because safety is paramount to you, to others, and you're working with harmful things like a blowtorch, and you can cut yourself on simple things like the side of an edge or something like that. But for me, when it comes to college, it was a good experience because it allowed me to spread my wings and it gave me a lot of freedom. It gave me to see that I'm not the only person that's in the position at the moment who is going to work, but also building a career and starting something from scratch. So therefore, I didn't really feel alone when it comes to that experience, which I was quite thankful for. I had one of my friends who went to my school, actually. His name was Luke, and he was on the same course as me. I couldn't believe it. But that was great, because that gave me a real sense of comfort because this is someone who I know from a long time. But it still enabled me to make friends with other people who were my age from different places in London. I remember there was a guy called Jack from Hertfordshire. I remember him specifically because most of us are from London and I went to a North London college. So to get someone from Hertfordshire, which is a little bit of a distance away, you know, I realised that you had to travel. But even before I got to the course, I realised you had to travel because my mum was previously trying to get me onto the course previously, but some colleges said they were too busy, and my uncle managed to pull a few strings because he is a plumbing lecturer, and I managed to get in on Tottenham College, which is known as Cornell. It was a good college at the time. I can't tell you what it's like at the moment, but I'm willing to tell you my experiences as what it was like for me. At the end of the day, college was just a place where I went to learn. I didn't really go there to socialise because, again, I was only there for one day. There was a lot of other people there, so it was a bit overwhelming as you first come in because you got the study hall and stuff like that where everyone is. You got the library and stuff like that. I think we went to the library about once or twice because they had to show us where the books were. But again, most of your homework and your work would be done at home and in the classroom. So that was my only reason for not going to the library so much. But I will say to people, the books are in the library. That's where most of the knowledge is. And if you've got access to that type of, you know, library, which has got like a vast amount of books, believe me, it's the place to learn. So when I'm in college, I'm taking it like week by week as it comes. Every single week, I've got a different task to do when it comes to my portfolio. A portfolio is a book which they want you to sign off with loads of different tasks completing them, and then leading up to an exam at the end. So it could be classed as quite intense for people who are not really familiar or they don't get on with exams and stuff. But again, the people who are there, your tutor and stuff like that, they will try to give you as much information as you can. And it really does help if you have something, which I have, which was a mentor. So I worked with one particular gas engineer whose name is Jack, who really helped me. And when I think about it now, he really took time out to get to know me and to understand where I was at when it comes to college. But I understand it even more as I got older, because I got to meet him again. And he told me I was his only apprentice. So I took my hat off to him, because he always was the person to ask me questions, or ask me, what am I doing at college? What don't you understand? What can we talk about now on the way to this job, instead of listening to the radio? Which, for me, it just lets me know that there are so many kind people out there who have time for you to flourish into what you can be. And when they see you as a person, they see potential. You know, and that's the great thing about this trade, is that someone else who didn't know me, from an 18-year-old young man looking to start plumbing, he knows my uncle, but he doesn't know me personally. Again, I know I come from a respectful family, so I've got to be respectful towards this person who's now sharing his van with me and picking me up and also dropping me off. Things like that, like your punctuality and stuff like that, I can see how he was very strict with me. I'm laughing because there was a few times when I was late and he left me and he told me to make my own way home, which taught me a lesson of being on time and, you know, wasting other people's time, because sitting in traffic, commuting in London is always been a problem, and is a problem for most places in different countries when it comes to commuting. But those were the key times where we sat down and we really locked in, and he really did say to me, you know, like, take this thing quite seriously. You know, this could be like a card for you to get out, for you to just explore the world and to have a job for a very long time, which it was quite true. And I thank him every single time, and I thank him right now. Jack, appreciate all of the effort which you made with me. Again, I know I was stubborn at some points, but you know what? I listened, and I'm here now today to try and help others to be able to guide them in the right way of this path of having a career within construction. It's difficult, I know that, but that's why I'm making these types of content, so we can understand what the things people go through when they're going through an apprenticeship and meeting new people and just being in unfamiliar grounds, which is different territories. You're in a college now, you're having to turn up to class, you're having to listen to people, you're having to make sure you take notes. You can't just be on your phone. You know, it's not that type of thing. You need to take this information in so it can help you at your day job, and it can also save yourself and others and keep yourself safe while you're working. So these are things which, you know, as a young adult, you're not really thinking about these types of things. You're just thinking, you're just going through the motions and it's just work. But it is a little bit deeper than that. But you learn that the longer you stay in it. And that's why I can say what I said at the beginning about Jack, is that he has helped me in so many ways, which I can only be thankful for, and want to give some of my free time to help others, which I have done in my past, to be able to progress with their career with being a plumber or just getting into construction. So my uncle got me into construction and got me the modern day apprenticeship at Cornell, which set me off on the way of learning as much as I can about being a plumber, but also provided me books as well. He provided me quite a few books, which I did read up on. I think the books have some really good information on it, especially certain plumbing books. I think it was certain authors who used to send me their books were really good. I don't want to say the name because one of them I can't remember, so let me not say it. But it's important to have those books as references to be able to reference back to at some point if you don't know something, because you come across that not knowing things, or someone knowing more than you when you're in this college situation, because some people are more advanced. They take down the knowledge, or they're doing that type of work every day. So the moment a work or a job comes up for hot water systems, they're putting their hand up straight away because it's something they do every day and it's more fluent to them. So you might want to, make friends with them. That's what college is about, making friends with people who are your peers, who are some of the first plumbers who are probably your age. So I would always advise that, and stick onto your coursework, because the coursework can be hard to do, but it's given in a duration of time which is doable. And if you are struggling, seek extra help. It's okay to ask for help. I used to ask for help, and I became a lecturer at one point. So I've done that for 9 years. Got some good achievements from it as well, recognised in a few articles online, which I'm thankful for, because if you stick at your graft and you do your graft with an amount of passion, I'm passionate about being a plumber, because I've probably learnt from some really good people, which I class as good people. Again, everybody's got their flaws in how they do something, but I just believe that those people taught me in the best way that they possibly could. So I would do the same for others. The journey of going to college and getting that whole process and that ball moving allows you to know that you're just on track to building. And when you build more and more, you just learn a lot more. I learned more about what type of work other people were doing, whether it was maintenance, whether they were doing installation jobs, whether they were doing boilers and stuff like that. It fascinated me because there were so many different pockets to get into when it came to being a plumber. So it's never ending if you want to keep on learning. The experience can be daunting at some points because now it's on you, and it's a lot of responsibility for the younger person to say to themselves, I've got to make sure I've got to get to college at this time, and I've got to make sure that I have a good attitude, because they will be telling my employees. So it's not just like having a day off and putting your feet up and saying, oh, I'm going to chill and go to college, because again, you've still got targets to reach. But making sure that you have your own personal targets and goals is important to yourself. It shows a level of growth, but also allows you to say that, do you know what, I'm now climbing the ladder. And climbing the ladder is what it's about, because you start off on the bottom and you learn and you work your way up. So I would start off being called a plumber's mate. And then when I went to college, I was an apprentice, and I was an apprentice for a set amount of years, 3 years. People called me the apprentice. Again, it's a title until you get your paperwork, and then you're a qualified plumber. And now you need to start gaining more experience. But I'm going to talk about gaining experience in my first ever plumbing job in another episode. But this episode was mainly based around college and the struggles, what people do face. So they face bigger struggles when they don't have employment, which I see often with a lot of young plumbers. So I've always suggested people to offer your services for free, because you're now learning something off of them for free as well. So it's an equal bat. And sometimes that works out for some people, sometimes it doesn't, but there are a lot more programs which are in place for young people to be able to start their journey on becoming a plumber. So this is People Behind the Trade with Mr. London Plumber. And we was just talking about what it's like to get into plumbing for your first year and go to college. My experiences and what it was like, Mr. London Plumber. Make sure you tune into the next episode, where I will be discussing and going into the first jobs you ever do as a plumber and as a tradespeople person. Tradespeople behind... People behind the trade.